All right. Somehow, some way, the Bulls pulled that one off. I was pleasantly surprised at how they played in that second half. So good job in the second half. I won't lie though, that first half was garbage. That was a horrific first half. 70 points given up, so the Bulls were on pace to give up 140 points that first half. But you know, I criticized Donovan a lot on this channel, but I'm gonna give him his props again. That was a great decision by Donovan to go ahead and pull those. Like, he made quick early substitutions in that third quarter after they got down. Like, the Hawks went on a 7-0 run to start the third quarter, and Donovan immediately pulled Giddey, Io, and P. Will, or Giddey, Kobe, and P. Will out. Like, that was very good. That was very good by Donovan. So I give him major props for doing that, because I know that he's been heavily criticized, and I know some Bulls fans have wanted him to do that for a while, but he hasn't ever done that. So major props to Donovan for doing that. I think that was a very big move to help get the Bulls just more energy into the game, better defense into the game. So that was a great move. And the Bulls offense, I think, was pretty much what I kind of wanted all night. 39 threes attempted, 33% from three is not great, but 50% overall from the field is really solid. The biggest thing, in my opinion, even though the Bulls had 17 turnovers tonight, this is a type of game where I can live with the turnovers. Like, this is kind of where I always been telling people, like, hey, this team's going to turn the ball over. And there were definitely a lot of games this year where the Bulls had some inexcusable turnovers, but this, in my opinion, was one of those nights where, like, there were some bad turnovers, but a lot of the turnovers, in my opinion, were just trying to push the pace. And the Bulls had 23 fast break points tonight, so if the Bulls gonna be playing fast and they're gonna be getting up and down the floor as quickly as possible, then I can live with them making these mistakes, living with some of the turnovers. And we saw it tonight, I think, in my opinion, where it was like, yeah, 17 turnovers is a lot, but it wasn't like there were egregious turnovers like we've been seeing in some of the previous games, right? Where it's like someone dribbles it off their foot, or just some pretty bad passes. I will say Jalen Smith, had some bad turnovers this game, but again, like, I can live with the turnovers if they're playing at this pace, this level, and this sort of play style. So props to the Bulls for getting back into this one. This one looked awful all game. Bulls got the lead back early in the fourth quarter for their first, or sorry, they didn't get the lead back. That was their first lead of the game early in the fourth quarter. Excuse me. So yeah, major props, really major props to those guys for fighting and staying in this one, and pulling out this win. Now, I'm gonna give a lot of props to Donovan for making that big switch early in that second half, where the guys clearly didn't come out ready out of halftime, right? He immediately put in Dalen Terry, Ayo Dosunmu, and Julian Phillips in that early in the third quarter, and I think those guys deserve a lot of props tonight because they really brought the effort and the defensive intensity that this Bulls team needed. I will say, though, the Atlanta Hawks made some of the worst decisions I've ever seen in a while. The Hawks, play like a relatively decent pace, but when the Bulls started to push tempo, then the Hawks started to suddenly speed up. They're like, oh god, we gotta play fast, we gotta shoot with only 7 seconds into the shot clock. And I was just like, what? Like, what? Why are the Hawks suddenly why the Hawks suddenly just be like, oh god, we're suddenly just like going, we gotta get the ball up quickly, we gotta run the ball, we gotta just like run it, and we're not even like just taking our time. And so we saw a lot of turnovers in that second half, and I don't know why the Hawks decided to do that. That's honestly something that I really don't understand from the Atlanta Hawks tonight. So good job by the Bulls, but like, I'm gonna give the Bulls their credit tonight for being a much better team in that second half defensively, because I've been screaming about this Bulls defense for a long time, for multiple games now. But this right here, it was a combination of the Bulls just being better defensively, where they're not giving up 30 plus points in a quarter, but they're also, the Hawks decided to be just pretty stupid. The Hawks decided that, yeah, we are going to be playing into the Bulls pace, we're going to be playing their tempo, and we're going to be trying to get a shot up as quickly as possible so the Bulls can just get it right back immediately. And I don't know why. I will say that Quinn Snyder is a guy that I sincerely question as a coach. Quinn Snyder does a really bad job of holding leads. It's been a problem his entire NBA career, and I don't know why this continues to happen with him, but very clearly this is a trend with Quinn Snyder, and it happened again with the Hawks tonight here. So yeah, props to the Bulls for getting this one and being better, but yet again, I don't know what the Hawks were doing in some of these plays here. So props to the Bulls, I guess. So I don't want to take anything away from some of these guys because, for example, DeSuma, I think, had one of his best games of the year with 19 points and just 10 shots. I think Dalen Terry arguably had his best game of the year, and he just came in. It was a major spark for this team in both halves, honestly. I think Dalen Terry actually came in and played extremely well. So as much as I've criticized him, I've been pleasantly surprised with how long he's been in the rotation, and tonight was one of those games where he actually did a really good job of actually making an impact. And Julian Phillips had some pretty big buckets, and he's shooting a three-point shot with confidence. He hit 2 tonight, and he had a lot of hustle plays. So big props to the bench tonight for coming in after the Stars did not get off to a good start in the second half, and making sure that the Bulls play with the correct intensity for the rest of the game. So interesting, but overall, it's whatever. It's interesting just to kind of see what the Hawks were up to in that one. That was a coaching win, in my opinion. It might have honestly been a coaching difference. Now, I will say, I don't think either, like, the other 28 teams in NBA are looking at the Bulls and Hawks like, man, like, I would love to have those coaches on our team, right? It's not like these are two great coaches going against each other, but I have always questioned Quinn Snyder and his like decision making when he has a lead for his team. So, interesting. Hawks completely changed the normal rotations for this game and system, which was also dumb of them. They usually have Young and Daniels same minutes nearly, but had them cover their off minutes. That's really interesting, and I don't know why they did that. That I don't follow the Hawks consistently, but that doesn't really make much sense in my head. Maybe I'm missing someone who's out tonight for the Hawks, but I mean, no Bogdan Bogdanovic is pretty huge, and he plays some in the league. I guess he doesn't really play league guard, but he'd be a guard. So I don't know. That's really odd. Charles. No, Hawks usually had Dyson guarding the star of the other team all game, no switches, but they chose to mark Giddey with him. Well, I think Dyson honestly was on pretty much everybody, but yeah, Dyson did kind of start on Giddey, and I don't know why. I really don't know what their thought process was. Playoff tougher from Hawks in a back-to-back game that they had two players like 40 minutes. I mean, yeah. I guess that's what really started to kill the Hawks at the end, the second game of back-to-back, but they came out like really good though. Like that's the thing that I really don't understand is that like they put up 70, in the first half, and so I'm thinking, oh, I guess they're fine, but poor decisions, fatigue, I guess also, and then better defense, Trey's taking them long shots. Yeah, Trey just came down and just took some long threes that were early in the shot clock that I'm just like, I don't get it. Like, what are we doing here? Trey, I mean, like, I don't ever really, like, I don't know what it is about the Bulls with Trae Young, but, like, Trey doesn't have, like, the greatest stats against the Bulls. But his assist numbers, though, are through the roof against the Bulls. Like, he's averaging 14 assists coming into tonight's game against the Bulls. So, that's not something that I'm like concerned about necessarily with him, but for some reason he doesn't really sound, or he doesn't really score well, and he decides to make some of these really weird decisions to try to, I guess, get his team back in the game. But like, I don't want to say I would assume it has his number, but for some reason against the Bulls, he just doesn't seem to perform as greatly. I mean, tonight he's 6 of 16 with 14 points only. I mean, yeah, 16 assists is obviously amazing, but 14 points is not normal from Trae Young. So, fatigue, second night of a back-to-back. Bulls really started to target him on defense. Like, maybe it kind of all added up here. But, yeah, it's just odd to see overall from this Hawks team. Last night, though, with Boggs out, they had it same night, same two tonight. Okay, yeah. I don't know. Yeah. That was a dumb choice. Daniel Shaw, Mark Zachary Kobe both looked out a bit on those bad moves. I mean, so again, like, I don't think Daniels was, like, only guarding Giddey. Like, there were definitely moments where we saw Dyson Daniels on Zach LaVine and Dyson Daniels on Kobe White. But I agree. Like, I think that Daniels needs to probably be on either one of those two no matter what, and he guarded Giddey a good amount tonight. Doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. And we even saw it kind of early, like the Hawks were willing to switch Young onto like kind of any guard, right? And so, we saw Zach try to post up early and got the foul call against Trae Young. We saw Zach attack Trae Young late in the game. We saw Kobe White attack Trae Young late in the game. Like, the Hawks honestly just did not do a good job of just hiding Young, which they need to, right? Trae Young, this is where, I think Trae Young doesn't really try in defense either, but even if he did try, he's never going to be a good defender. He's too small. So the Hawks have to do a much better job of hiding him, and when you have a Dyson Daniels, it would really be a good decision to actually put him on one of the better players in terms of, creating their own shots, right? And they didn't do that for whatever reason. Those are the ones where Giddey was off, though. Now, even when Giddey was on, like, we saw Dyson Daniels guarding both Kobe and Zach. It wasn't a lot, but there were definitely possessions where it did happen. But I also think that was also more in transition. Like, I'm saying it did happen. Like, I don't want to just be like Dyson Daniels shied away from guarding Zach LaVine and Kobe White tonight. No, there were definitely possessions where we saw Dyson Daniels on Zach LaVine and Kobe White, but a lot of it was in transition, like just matching up quickly to the guy that they are closest to, right? So, I don't know. I don't know what the decision is. Quentin Snyder's weird. Quentin Snyder's defensive decisions never make sense in my head. I've always been critical of him because his time in Utah just kind of showed me that he doesn't really truly coach well with the lead. He tends to just kind of let his star do whatever and hope that it works out. And yeah, this to me, like, again, I understand it's the second night of a back-to-back for the Hawks, but this was a very winnable game for them. Like, they're up, they had 70 points in the first half. The Bulls aren't playing any defense, and I don't think the Bulls were necessarily playing that greatly tonight. Like, it wasn't like their offense was in high gear either. Like, it was good offense, but it wasn't like they were knocking down everything from three-point range. The Bulls only made 13 threes tonight. 13 threes tonight. So, like, that's, to me, this is a very winnable game, and you just threw it away. This was just bad from the Hawks tonight. So, again, props to the Bulls, but my God, I don't know what the Hawks are doing. Like, there's a lot tonight where I'm just like, what are the Hawks doing? Like, play smarter. And I unfortunately just think Quentin Snyder is not the smartest coach in the league. He's pretty bad overall. So, yeah. Interesting decisions tonight. So, one thing that I wanted to point out. So, Bulls had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys in double figures tonight. I think that is by far the most tonight in the season. So, props to all the Bulls for coming out and really all kind of playing well. I don't really think there's really anybody they can like kind of point to that was bad overall tonight. And I think like a lot of the bench guys really did come in and give a good energy, a good effort. Terry didn't get the double figures, but he played really well. I do think Buzelis was kind of, this is one of his games where he did look a little bit overmatched and not exactly ready for some moments, but that's okay. I'm not happy they only got 5 minutes, but it is what it is. And weirdly enough, Billy played Javon Carter tonight, and it was both in the start of the second and fourth quarters, and I don't really understand the decision. I don't really think Carter did anything tonight to really warrant that decision, and I don't think that Carter played Trae Young that well either. So sure, you can look at the box score and be like, wow, look, Trae Young didn't really perform too greatly, but I think it's more so that Trae just missed some shots that he should make. And the Bulls kind of lucked out in some of those shots that he missed early in the game. And then Trae started taking some dumb shots. I don't know. Some of those three-point shots, man, from Trae were kind of ridiculous, and let the Bulls get right back into the game. So, you know, I guess we had Trae Young to thank tonight in the end here. So, yeah, interesting overall decisions. Again, from the Hawks tonight. I don't really understand a lot of the decisions that were made tonight, but I guess I don't fully watch the Hawks, but like, weird stuff, man. Weird stuff happened tonight, and I'm just gonna let it slide, I guess. I don't know, man. It almost looked like the Hawks tried to just throw that game. Like, they were just like, yeah, we're just gonna you know, give it up. Do you feel the Bulls went paint intentionally because Hawks were open there, or just took it as it came at speed? What do you mean Bulls went paint? You mean went into the paint? No, I think the Bulls just recognized the Hawks defense just sucked, and we're like, okay, yeah, we're just gonna attack the paint, and you know, they did the correct kickouts when necessary, but they found that the Hawks were not really guarding the paint at all, just like how the Bulls don't guard the paint at all. Yeah, Buzelis again. Well, it wasn't great, but I'm not going to be too harsh about it. I think there's a lot of Bulls fans right now that are being a little bit harsh on him, and then I think Billy's being a little harsh on him. But I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna be here to like try to fix that. I think Buzelis he just needs time in playing. He doesn't like this whole. The people that say that he's like, oh, it's like the game is too fast for him. I don't think that's the case. I think Buzelis just he's seeing defenses that he really hasn't ever seen. He's seeing defenders that are better than he's ever seen, and he's adjusting to a new system where he's, you know, playing maybe a position he's never played before, and he has to adjust to a new Bulls defensive system. Like, that's the reason why a lot of the time he looks lost on defense, is because he's not used to this system. I know it's like he's had a training camp and preseason to kind of figure it out, but like a rookie, I feel like it kind of takes some time, you know. And right now, because he's not getting a lot of minutes, he's like, you know, for example, like Victor Wembanyama, like I'm sure, like with someone like him, like he doesn't need a defensive system to look good, right? Like Victor is just gonna come in and he's gonna put up a bunch of blocks and steals, and like, yeah, he has a lot of makeup, like he can make up ground because he's so athletic and so big and so long that it doesn't matter that, like, oh, if he makes a mistake, then he can just go like, oh, I could block this shot. Like with Buzelis, like I think his best trait on defense is his shot blocking ability, and right now he looks lost in rotations. He looks like he's not truly understanding when the Bulls rotate to one guy to the corner that he needs to be the next guy out to the guy at the top of the key. Like there's a lot going on, and so I just think it's just gonna take time. He just needs to be in the defensive system and play in it, and he'll figure things out. But this Bulls team, like we've been talking about all year, it's gonna be a whole mixed bag of if they're trying to actually develop their players or if they're coming out and trying to actually win games. And Billy Donovan, no matter what, is going to just try to win the game. That's his job as a coach, and I don't blame him for it. I think whether you're a coach or a player, you should be out there trying to win the game. You're getting paid to do so. But no matter what, I think that for the Bulls at the end, like they're like, okay, Buzelis is not giving good minutes, therefore, oh, we're just going to not play him then. Because Billy can't, you know, keep him out. If Billy thinks he's going to be like a serious detriment to the team in just 2 minutes, then he's not going to be out there, right? He's going to look at one mistake and say, okay, you're getting pulled, right? And I hate that because I think that, you know, this year doesn't really matter too much in terms of trying to actually maximize each minute, but that's Billy's thing. I mean, that's his job. It's his job to evaluate players and see if they're able to play good enough to win the game. And if he thinks that they're not, then you pull. He doesn't play them. So it sucks, but you know, it is what it is. Felt a really flaky and ever from the Bulls for power review. I think that Buzelis is playing like trash. He shouldn't get minutes. A lot of times development happens behind the scenes. Well, I've said that, like, I do think that watching film does help a lot, and, you know, working with your coaches to kind of figure things out. So that is off the court things. Like, I do think that is important, but my issue is that if we're gonna keep Buzelis off the court, then it's like, okay, well, like, he might as well go to the G League. But in my opinion, I don't need to see him in the G League because he just played there last year. Like, I don't need him to go down to the G League again because I just saw him play there last year. I don't need to see him play there again. So for a year that doesn't matter in terms of wins, then you might as well start playing the dude, right? And I don't know why, you know, Billy's going to be so harsh on him. So again, I'm not Donovan. I don't see what happens in practices. I don't see what happens in scrimmages. I don't see what happens behind the scenes, but this is the 11th overall pick that we're talking about, right? Like, we're not talking about a guy picked in the 20th overall or 20 overalls, right? We're talking about a guy picked 11th overall in the lottery. Like, he's not just like some guy that's picked in the second round. Like, I don't know why this is continuing to be an issue. So yeah, you know, I'm not here to try to fix Billy's coaching decisions on that, but I'm just pointing it out. The coaches have things this year's. No, like I said, Razzie, like the coaches are paid to win, right? So their job is to go out there and get the team the victory. So I don't necessarily blame them. I'm just saying that it instead, hey, look, if the coaches were really just kind of told, like, yeah, go out there and try to win every single game, but, you know, try to get Buzelis as many minutes as possible, I wouldn't be opposed to that. But I don't know how, you know, AK and Mark Eversley and Billy kind of all talk at the end, or in the front office, and, you know, figure out their rotations. Billy Schilling is better than at least a couple of coaches in the league, maybe. Doc and Snyder, yeah. Yeah. Billy Donovan is better than Quinn Snyder and Doc Rivers. Congratulations. That is quite the achievement if you're Billy Donovan. So good job with being better than those two coaches, because that doesn't mean that, like, I'm sure that means a lot to your peers, right? Yeah, that's not obviously very good. Yeah. Billy deserves his props for what he's done to make this team play faster, with more pace, shoot more three-point shots, and just overall making sure that this team is run a lot better this year. Billy does not deserve any sort of praises for the lack of defense, obviously, for the team right now, and some of his decisions in terms of the rotations. Like, again, why is Javon Carter out there? I really don't know why. Like, it makes no sense why Javon Carter is playing tonight. But sure, I guess. You know, he was plus 10, so can I really complain? Probably not. But yeah, I'll live with it at the end of the day. This is the other thing that I'm always just interested to see, because I'm sure Bulls fans notice this, but I think only a few kind of called it out on Twitter, at least from what I've seen, is that Josh Giddey tonight did not end the first half, and he also did not end the second half, right? He was on the bench for both at the end of both halves. Donovan obviously pulled him really early in the third quarter when he saw the team get off to a bad start defensively. So Giddey happened to be just unfortunately one of the guys where he got back cut, and it's his fault. But, you know, it was kind of at the wrong time to get back cut, because Donovan was already pissed off at the defense, and then he gets back cut. And so Donovan's like, man, like, we just saw you get back cut, you're on the bench. So it sucks for him overall at that timing. So, bad luck for Giddey on that end. But Donovan has kind of done this a few times now, where he ends, maybe a half or it's the end of the game, where he runs with the 3-guard lineup of DeSumo, and Kobe and Levine with P. Will at the 4. I kind of hinted that might happen this season. Like I kind of was talking about in my predictions that no matter what, Josh Giddey will start every game, but does he finish every game? Like, I don't really know if that is going to happen. And tonight was one of those instances where he doesn't finish the game. I will say Josh defensively didn't look too great, but I think everybody in the Bulls defense didn't look great. So I'm just interested in this, because if this causes some sort of rift between Donovan and the front office, then hey, that's interesting to look at. Not trying to be very big on it, but it's interesting because front office traded their sole prize of Caruso for Josh Giddey, who I think that they want as many minutes from Josh Giddey as possible this year, because they have to go and decide to pay him or not. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Dom actually talked about this preseason. I think, if I recall correctly, he said it's not really hard. It's really hard to win games and develop talent. I think he's right, but we've also seen players develop under him. Well, we've seen some players develop under him, right? Not every player. Like, Patrick Williams has been stagnant for the past 4 years now. Like, he hasn't really done anything, right? So I'd argue that he's been pretty stagnant overall under Billy. Now, Io and Kobe have taken the step forward, right? But, those are just two guys. I can make the argument that under Donovan, Lauri Markkanen didn't develop under him. Now, granted, it was only 1 year under Donovan, but he didn't develop that great under him. I could kind of throw the same about Wendell, but, and I do agree that it is hard to win games and develop talent. I do agree with that statement. But there's also just like a time and place where you have to understand, like, this is the 11th overall pick we're talking about here. Like, this isn't just some second overall pick. He's basically kind of pulling a Tibbs at the moment, and I get it, but this wouldn't be the way that I would coach the team or drop the rotations. I think the lack of defense comes from a switching pace. You're talking about playing faster, right? I think playing faster, like the way that this Bulls team is, like, I do think that it does hurt the defense a little bit, but the lack of defense still, no matter what, has been atrociously bad. Like, the Golden State Warriors, when they were playing fast and shooting all these threes and they were winning rings, they played a quick pace, but they had a damn good defense, and I'm granted, again, I'm aware of their personnel, but that's the reason why I'm saying, like, this team does need just a bit major personnel overhaul, because this team's not built for good defense. So overall, I do think that the big issue is, like, Donovan is not, like, I think Donovan overall is a defensive minded coach. I'm not saying that, like, oh, he's suddenly made this team bad on defense. He hasn't done that. Just the personnel sucks. The personnel sucks on that end. 70 points in a half is ridiculous. You shouldn't be giving that up. But the personnel seriously sucks. The second half of this game, like, I give the Bulls props for their better defense, and I give Donovan props for making that big substitution early in the third quarter, but I still stand by that. Like, I think that the Hawks decided to play stupid basketball still, so it was just a mixture tonight. I still think this team is bad defensively. I think we've all seen it, right? I think we all know, like, this team sucks defensively, and it's just going to continue. So the defensive schemes, rotation, and sometimes lack of plays is weak sauce. I think this year I'm giving Donovan the benefit of the doubt in terms of his like plays, like drawn up plays and stuff. Like, if we're talking about like silent out of bounds plays, I agree. In terms of half court sets this year, I'm overall fine with them. I don't really have too big of an issue. I was like very big on those before though. Defensive schemes, like, again, what are you supposed to do though? Like, you don't have the personnel. That's the only thing I say. In the end, Giddey is trash. I don't think Giddey was necessarily trash tonight. but he wasn't exactly making the biggest impact either. Well, then change how they approach screens, even as a team, most of all actually communicate on defense, please, Bulls. That, again, that's a personnel issue, isn't it? Like, that's not necessarily something that is like, oh yeah, we're suddenly gonna all yell and be more communicative on defense, right? But that just doesn't happen. Like, you need the right personnel for that. And I'd argue that Donovan, when Caruso was here, Donovan had that there. Like, the Bulls were actually communicating better defensively, right? But he's not there anymore. So can I really blame Donovan for that? Again, I don't think Giddey's defense was the issue at all tonight. I think everyone's defense was bad tonight. Like, you point to every single person and pull 5 plays where they all messed up defensively. I think Jalen Smith's defense was atrocious tonight. But, like, I will say, though, I don't think Giddey was necessarily amazing tonight. But like you said, though, Charles, like, for some reason, Dyson Daniels is guarding Josh Giddey in a lot of possessions. Don't know why. I question that, but... Bulls are not a development team, surely, but I guess always be Millie gives a little option mid picks. I guess that's part of it, but I don't think they've had the coaching staff either to develop talent either. Like, I think Peter Patton has been a godsend to this Bulls team for fixing people's shots. Like, that's a godsend in terms of developmental staff. Is that going to continue though? I don't know. Like, if I'm the Bulls, I'm building on my staff. I'm not just stopping like, oh, we got our shooting coach and we're good. But the Bulls tend to just cut costs and be like, okay, yeah, we got our one shooting coach and we're gonna develop all these guys now. And it's like, no, that's not how this works. Like, teams have a large development team. Like, that's not just like, oh yeah, we're just gonna be having a couple coaches here and there come in and they're gonna fix everybody. Not necessarily playing fast means bad defense, but the switch from slow to fast hurts. Like, all these guys have been coached a certain way, and the change makes it harder to not lose track. Okay, so if you're saying that the players are adjusting, I can agree with that. But Viper Strike, I'm still saying, though, that I think that the personnel is just bad. Like, with Vucevic, you're limited defensively. Like, you're not going to ever really run a blitz unless it's like a surprise blitz. You're not going to switch very clearly, and you're also then you're not going to run an ice coverage really either. It's going to be a drop coverage, and the guard has to get over the screen, and Vooch just kind of covers up like down below. Like, the team doesn't have a bunch of long defenders that can play multiple defensive positions, and if you have those guys, they're all coming off the bench, right? Like, the team personnel just sucks overall defensively. So I do understand what you're saying, that like the guys are maybe adjusting to the new tempo, and they're not fully like understanding, okay, if we're playing fast like this, then long shot, long rebound, we got to make sure that we get back in transition, because the Bulls transition defense has been awful all season. But in the end, still, I think that we're looking at just bad personnel, guys that don't know how to defend really that well, guys who don't really have the tools to defend effectively. Like, that's why the defense sucks so bad. If we had a shot blocker, it helps erase a lot of mistakes. If we had multiple guys out there who are like 6'7" and long wingspan and go out there consistently and can guard like 4 different guys on the floor, then I think this team defensively looks a lot better just due to having better personnel in the end. No trade options might be thin, but the Bulls got a heavy contract to pick from a trade mid-season for like Vooch by some luck. Would you consider taking a flyer on a young free agent for center? Okay, now I'm understanding. Okay, you're saying that if the Bulls trade Vooch this season for whatever, then you're asking, should the Bulls then in the next offseason go out and sign a like young flying center for their starting center position. I think everything's contextual, so it's like I can't just like give you like a straight up answer. But I mean, ideally you're getting somebody that can just be better defensively and rebound effectively before we even start looking at something like more specific, right? If they're a young flyer that can, and they're like 6 and in, you know, kind of dude, then you know I have to kind of look at what else they bring to the table. If they're like athletic but they can also do a little bit something else, then you know it's obviously a better decision. So for the center spot, like if Vooch is traded, then I'm not like, oh, we need to go and get this sort of guy. I'd have to look at everything before I'm like, oh yeah, we should go and get this guy, or this sort of personnel. But ideally, at least in my head, they're a much better like defender overall. So what that's, you know, pick and roll defense, versatility defense, and then, you know, rim protection, and then they're a pretty effective rebound. That's like the first two things first, and then we can look at things a little more specifically later on. In the end, though, I don't think Vooch is getting traded. I know it sounds like, you know, he's playing great, so props to Vooch for his start of the season. He's been proving me out really, really wrong for saying that he's a pretty garbage overall player and he's limited. And, you know, props to him, because I think that he, like, people talked about Zach coming into this year about having to prove that doubters wrong. I think Vucevic had a lot more doubters than people realize, and he had to come in and prove the doubters wrong, and he's done it so far, so major props to him. But I will also say that I don't know how long this will last, and will another team actually want him? I don't know. You know, the Bulls, like this new scheme for Vooch, where he's mostly only shooting threes and paint shots, has really made him more efficient, right? But I think that if you're another team thinking, oh, should we trade for Nikola Vucevic? Well, first thing to consider is that he will not be the second option in your system, right? He will also not be playing in the same scheme as the Bulls are playing currently. So will he be as effective on the offensive end if you do trade for him? Probably not. Therefore, I don't think anyone's going to really trade for him. If someone does, then the Bulls need to send him out quickly. But I'm not holding out hope for that, honestly. I'm holding out hope for Zach to get traded, because I think that a team will be calling for him. But for Vooch, I have my questions. As a backup, just put Jalen Smith in starting. I'm kind of, I won't lie. As I watch Jalen Smith, as much as I do love him, mostly on the offensive end, his defense is not very good. So at least for now, I think Jalen Smith is probably just deemed to be like a really good backup center, who can also play the 4 position. But I personally would not be looking to start Jalen Smith at center. That's just at least my opinion. Also, by the way, I just want to say I do have a hard out at 10. I do apologize for this, but stream is gonna be a little bit short tonight. Again, I do apologize. I know I didn't stream on Thursday, so sorry about this, but I do have a hard out at 10 here. Sorry, I want to keep up with these. We need a guy like Evan Mobley. I think every team would love an Evan Mobley. I would love Evan Mobley on this team, but when Evan Mobley just don't come around all the time. We need a 7-footer. I mean, I think we all would love a 7-footer with athleticism and versatility. Just good luck trying to find those guys. I just want the trade line to be here so we don't see Vooch injury regression and he has good PR. I mean, yeah, if I'm Kardashevis right now, I am calling everybody saying like, hey, you see how Vooch is playing? You want him? Like, I'm doing everything in my willpower to get him off the team. But like, yeah. Like, it's that's hard to, you know, convince someone just 10 games into the year to make a serious change, unless maybe you're the Milwaukee Bucks. But the Bucks have Brook Lopez, so it's like it doesn't make any sense. I would just take anyone tall and athletic to risk on potential rebound and run. I mean, yeah, I think that's like like you're kind of looking at the guy, like, type of guy, but I'm like not trying to like narrow it down too hard to be like, oh, we need a Jackson Hayes, right? I don't want to go there just yet. Like, you know, it's early in the year. Who's definitely getting traded? I would love for him to get traded. I just don't see it. Sorry for bringing it up. Just saw the rumors come up again. Also, the articles on the Bulls being open to shop Kobe and Io. I don't know if that's true or not. I will say, if I won't be opposed to the Bulls trading Kobe. I know that a lot of Bulls fans are probably like, why? Why would you do this? Like, there's no reason to do such a thing. And I agreed in terms of like coming into the year, like I wouldn't go out and like trade Kobe coming into the year. Now come trade deadline though, and Kobe's on a like, let's say the Bulls are like actually like really, really bad, like come trade deadline. The trade now, like, I mean, like the Bulls are like, they're gonna be under 500, but who knows how far under 500. But when it comes to Kobe, right? I mean, you know, we still have a long season to go here, but if he doesn't like really show signs of like really developing into that 25 point per game scorer that we're like all hoping he becomes, and he can become like an all-star, right? That's when the discussions get interesting, where you start to say, hey, he's on a very cheap contract. He can score pretty effectively. He can shoot the 3-ball very well. He could be an absolute spark plug for a lot of teams for very cheap off the bench, right? Can you go out and actually trade Kobe for some serious value? Then I think that, yeah, you absolutely should consider it. Sorry about the ad. I don't know why that just ran. You shouldn't be hearing any ads. Okay, there we go. That's going to be interesting to kind of think about, because the reality of the situation is this, that because Kobe's only on the 3-year contract, and he is going to be asked for a lot more money, is it just worth it for the Bulls just to just trade him early and get the most out of his contract before he's on just 1 year left of his 3-year deal, right? That's the only question. I like I said, because I don't know if he will become an all-star, like, and because defensively he's not exactly the greatest thing in the world, right? And again, it's not because of lack of effort. He gives effort defensively. It's just that he doesn't have the physical tools to do great defensively. Because of that, though, is it worth trading him? And I wouldn't be opposed to it. Let's say. Now with Io, I think Io, the risk versus the reward with Io, I think with him, he's gonna want less because he's not like a bona fide starter on this current team. But because Io's also, he has, you know, shown more defensively, and I think he will stay pretty consistent in his career in terms of what he's going to average points per game. I think it's probably just worth just keeping him around, honestly. A guard that really doesn't turn the ball over is probably really, like, it's just really good to have overall, and not to mention that he's really effective. I should say he's more effective defensively. He hasn't exactly been the greatest defensively this year, but we know he has more potential defensively. So whether you want him at the point or whether you're going to have him start at this 2 guard or he's coming off the bench, like, you know that he's going to be effective in all those roles. Who do I think has more potential? I think Kobe has more potential. But with just the way that Io kind of is as a player, and because he's going to be cheaper, it probably makes more sense just to have with Io just stick around. I think the risk versus the reward is going to probably just work in the Bulls' favor in terms of like trying to get value for him. I think I might as well just keep him, knowing that it's going to be cheaper than Kobe. And with Kobe, because I know I'm going to have to pay him more, then it's like, hey, maybe we need to actually trade him. So again, nobody should be untouchable on this team. I saw a tweet the other day that said, like, I think Io, Kobe, Buzelis, and who's the 4th guy that they mentioned? I don't know who the 4th guy was, but it wasn't Giddey. I know that for sure. But they mentioned like 4 guys that they're like, yeah, these guys are untouchable. And I'm like, okay, look, are you saying untouchable as if like they're young guys that are playing pretty well, like we're most likely not going to trade them? Or are you actually saying untouchable? Like, in my opinion, no one should be untouchable on this roster. Like, if suddenly the Bulls trade for Giannis, then yeah, I'm shipping Buzelis out the door. But no one should be untouchable. Like, that when I saw that tweet, I was just like, what? Like, you can't say untouchable right now with this Bulls team. No one's untouchable. Like, everyone is available on this Bulls team. Even even Buzelis as a rookie is available, just less available, right? But everyone should be available. Like, no one should be untouchable on a, mid team. So yeah, I found it interesting when I saw that. Things for teams getting desperate like GSW who are close to be good. I just don't see how Vooch fits into the Golden State Warriors system, man. The Warriors are playing really fast. They're playing much better defense. Like, the Warriors have a really good thing going on right now that I don't know if they want to go and trade for Vooch. I would really be concerned about that decision, but at least it's just my opinion. I just don't know how it would work. Good to see Io get dunks again. Seeing Io dunk is still rare. He normally gets lips. Yeah, that dunk over recess shit was awesome from Io. I love that. But like in general, again though, like this is just a better game from Io than we've seen in some games before, or 0 for 6 to start a game. Some missed shots at the rim they needs to make. Like this is just a lot better overall. 7 out of 10, so extremely efficient from Io tonight, and making some threes, making the inside shot. This is what we need from him. And obviously he's guarding Trae Young all night, or when he was in the game. So again, just better. I think Io will get back on track. Like I know he's been kind of like off and on, but I think he'll get back on track. I'm okay with 4 games in because Kobe is okay, but I do feel a ceiling for him is not a star too. I don't know a longer term goal for him. That's also kind of where I'm at. Like again, we have to wait and see for the rest of this year. Like if Kobe really starts to like show up like a lot and he's putting up 25 consistently and he's upping his scoring average into like 24 points per game, like then yeah, I'm gonna probably keep him. But like just so if you guys aren't aware, the usage percentage between Levine, Kobe, and Giddey, it's all relatively similar. Like the lowest usage percentage between those 3 is Giddey. Kobe and Zach have basically the same usage percentage coming into tonight's game. Zach had 24%, Kobe had 23.3%. So like they're all getting about the same amount of usage here. Usage percentage is not perfect, but like I'm just showing you like, hey, Zach's going ahead and putting up like some pretty ridiculous numbers, even though he's having the lowest usage percentage in a long time, and this year in his career. Kobe, like he's having similar usage to Zach, maybe just slightly less, but because he's so off and on that we're not like getting all-star level numbers from him, right? If he was on every game, then I'm like, oh yeah, Kobe's like going onto all-star level. But because we're seeing like really cold games and then some really hot games, like it kind of just evens out where it's just you're kind of getting a flat 20, It's more under growth for him to come as well, as the team really needs any defense. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily be like, oh, this team needs defense, I'm going to keep the defender and trade the offensive player. I don't necessarily look at it like that. I just look at it as that, like, I see Io having better two-way potential than Kobe does, obviously. And therefore, because I know Io will be cheaper, I'd rather go with the two-way potential and bet on that than go with Kobe and, see what will happen with him. Again, knowing that Kobe's going to cost more in the end. What statistics tells us about the second game of a back-to-back in the second half, specifically the fourth quarter, does defense and being tired fall off more likely? I mean, yeah, I agree with that. Second game back-to-back, teams get more tired at the end of games, but I still think the Hawks had a really good chance of winning this game. Like, the Bulls didn't get their first lead until the fourth quarter. And I still think that even though that they were in the second half of back-to-back, they blew it. So yeah, it was fatigue definitely tonight, and Bulls being fresher helped, but some of the decisions, man, were really weird, really whack from the Hawks tonight. The higher pace, tired guys out more often until at least conditioning is at a peak. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I do think that the Bulls' higher pace definitely affects the other team in terms of their energy levels at the end of the game. I completely agree. Architecture is legit hard to come by. Like if he Derek White, not saying he's that good, but he might still develop to that. Like what I've seen with Io, like if you're wondering what I've always said about him, so like Derek White is pretty good, but I think Derek White has kind of shown like he's a legitimate shooter, and I don't know if Io ever get to that point. my thing with Io that I've always said is that like he'd be like a little bit less of a Drew Holiday. Like Drew, he has like the similar body type, and he kind of plays that similar role where like Drew. I'm talking more recent Drew, like not like 76ers Drew Holiday. I'm talking like more recent Drew Holiday, where like you see like Drew Holiday comes in as one of the best defenders every single night. He doesn't like he can obviously handle the ball pretty effectively, but he doesn't need the ball, right? He can guard multiple positions. He can switch onto a bigger guy and feel fine. Like we've seen Io do that before, where Io's like pretty. He's like he might be like 5 inches smaller than a guy, and he can still switch onto that guy and guard him pretty effectively. I'm not saying it's great, but he do a good job. And the thing that Io has on Drew is just that he's a better finisher than Drew Holiday. But what Drew has in Io is his shooting. Drew Holiday is just a better shooter than Io overall. So like that in my opinion is like Io's peak, right? Like Io's peak is like being like probably slightly under Drew Holiday in terms of the impact that he can bring to the basketball court every night. Kind of the floor though with Io, I think we've already kind of seen it, but it's kind of like a Marcus Smart kind of guy. But I think Io has shown that he's probably gonna be a better shooter than Smart. He's obviously a better finisher than Smart is. Smart, you can probably say was the better defender. But still though, it's like a sort of bigger guard that has a good wingspan and can guard multiple positions, etc. So like it's kind of hard to kind of say overall, but yeah. Bulls late season might end up in really good shape from the play style compared to the others, which is a tiny hope to benefit from. My only concern, Charles, is that I'm worried that's going to actually have the reverse effect. That because the Bulls played so fast every single night that they're like going at 110%, that they're going to be more tired at the end of the season compared to the other teams who didn't play as fast. You're probably right, but I'm just worried that the Bulls will be more fatigued at the end of the day. But we'll see. You're probably gonna be right though that the Bulls, because they played so fast, that the way that Diamond's been spreading their minutes around, that they'll probably be a little bit better at the end of the year. But I'm just always concerned, like more injuries, they're gonna pile up, and just more fatigue coming in. But we'll see how it works out. I think a Holiday archetype is on point. Like I've always kind of thrown that around there. Like I think that is like Io's peak. Like if Io can like really hit everything, like that would kind of be Io's peak level. Because like Holiday, again, we're talking about like current Drew Holiday. I'm not talking about like 76ers Drew Holiday. Like Io, like he's not gonna get like a bunch of assists, but he can obviously pass it pretty decently. He's not gonna turn the ball over egregiously. So yeah. Io's 23, White is 30. I mean, I'm aware of that, but I think that White and Io kind of play differently. Like White, in my opinion, is like very clearly like an off-ball guard. Io can he's shown that he can really do both, right? Think that could be Smart. Do you like Smart? Maybe. Yeah, maybe maybe that's a better comparison for Dalen, is like Marcus Smart, because they both really can't shoot the three ball that great. Or an AC archetype. I think with Dalen, I wouldn't say Alex Caruso, just because I think if Dalen ever does get that three ball, like we're looking at like a seriously good 3-and-D player, because Dalen, in my opinion, can guard 1 through 4 easily, and it's like no question. I know AC kind of also did that, but we're talking about like a 3-inch height difference and like a big difference in wingspan too. So like Dalen, in my opinion, has more that he could potentially give in terms of defensive potential, but like we've said this about Dalen, if he can't find anything on offense, which tonight was one thing, right? Tonight was one thing where like he actually like played pretty well on offense. He was running the fast break well. He he hit a 3-point shot. He was in the right positions. Like this is better from Terry, but I don't know if I'm gonna get that every night, right? Bulls do feel like they have the injury bug, only outdone by 76ers every season. And if you're the New Orleans Pelicans also this year, man, and the Pelicans have no DeJounte Murray, no CJ McCollum, no Zion for indefinitely. Like they're in a horrible spot right now. What is happening in the NBA, bro? Like Kevin Durant's out for 2 weeks now. Like no wonder the views are low. Like, no Kawhi to start the year, no Kevin Durant. Like, no one, Steph Curry missed a couple of games already. Like, no one's gonna watch this, right? No Embiid. Paul George missed the start of the season. Now Tyrese Maxey's out. Like, yeah, no one's gonna watch this. Like, I don't blame people for not watching, because the stars aren't playing right now for various different reasons at the moment. Mostly due to injury, though. Still trying to find that form this season. I mean, AC's never gonna put up the numbers. I said he's gonna take a minutes hit too, and you know, the guys see defending center sometimes this season. I mean, I'm not shocked. They don't have a backup center really. that sounds like something Dick Nault would do. Dalen is versatile. Yeah, I think Dalen is versatile, but like he needs to obviously be effective on both ends. You can't just have like, you know, really good defense and literally nothing on offense, which is what he sometimes has been. The defensive scheme for AC and Dort at centers is just brilliant. Oh yeah, Dick Nault has it down. Like I think he trusts AC to like seriously guard some of these bigger guys. We'll see how long it lasts, because I do think that at the end of the day, teams, you know, it'll take some time, but they do adjust to things. But that Dick Nault is willing to just kind of throw anybody out there right now, because they don't have a backup center at the moment because Isaiah Hartenstein's out. So when Chet comes out of the game, which funnily enough, when Chet comes out of the game, they actually have like a better net rating at the moment, which is insane just to say. But right now, their defensive schemes have been better. Like it's been insane with how good that they've been. Pelicans this year is Memphis from last year. I mean, Ja's also out for a week, by the way. Like, again, everybody's out. Like, we're so many guys are out right now. Like, no one's gonna watch this. Pelicans trade everything they needed now in the last 2 seasons. I don't know, man. Dyson Danielson, I guess, you know, second him back to back, but I think the Pelicans are just cursed, man. Like they I will say I wasn't the biggest fan of the CJ McCollum trade for them. It didn't really make a lot of sense in my head, but like, you know, they're aggressive. The DeJounte Murray trade makes a lot more sense in my head, but you still have CJ McCollum still there. Like that's the part that doesn't make any sense. So luckily for the Pelicans, you can trade BI hopefully this year, and you can reset. But yeah, they got a long ways to go, man. Not lazy AC so much, but the dude is a defensive genius. He was anchored. Oh yeah, bro. Viper Strike. That's not glazing. That's not even glazing. In my opinion, it's not glazing AC enough, because AC, again, one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, in only playing, you know, about 28 minutes a night, right? That shows you how impactful he is. Like, he isn't playing a full 36 and needs a full 36 to get his stats. Like, he is that effective in a short period of time on the floor, a shorter period of time. Like, that's not glazing at all. And I've told people, like, the Bulls defense is going to be a lot worse, and we're seeing it. So yeah, I don't think it's glazing at all, honestly. I think honestly it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I meant to open up my Valorant. I did not mean to. I did not mean to do what you just saw here. Okay. Sorry. I did say though that my hard out was at 10 here, so I do apologize for cutting the stream short here. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, sorry again. This is a shorter stream. I know it's on the Bulls win, but I do have to go play Valorant with my friends here, because we're doing Premiere. So if you guys could, if you have not already, hit the like button on the stream. Helps me out a lot. I appreciate all the support. Even the short stream, we've had 50 viewers in it, so I appreciate it overall. Thank you guys for all just checking in on the channel tonight. Once again, I do apologize for this being a short stream, and we didn't do film breakdown tonight. But appreciate all the support through the start of the season. It's been a lot of fun talking with all you guys. You know, we've had a lot of great conversations on here, so I hope to continue all of that. And I'm not going to guarantee anything, but I'm also planning some streams that don't come after a Bulls post game, or after a Bulls game, so it's not just always post game streams. So be on the lookout for that. But I do have to go really quickly here, so I do apologize. But Bulls win tonight, and the Bulls, I believe, are gonna be back on Monday, if I'm not mistaken here. Yeah, so the Bulls will be taking on the Cavaliers on Monday. So post-game stream after that, 9:30 p.m. Central Time. All right. Appreciate all the likes on the stream. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.